talk a lot in your books and your bio about self-healing.
Yeah.
Would you say that self-healing is the thing that leads all those people that go through that depressed phase, such as yourself or Michael Jordan or Oprah, to rise to the top?
Well, to me, the way I define self-healing is primarily an empowerment that most of us have been conditioned to give our power of healing to the outside, a third party, whether it's your doctors, your priests, your pastors, your rabbis. You know, you're always giving that power to somebody else. And what I'm saying to you is you need to explore the abilities that you have to be able to self-heal. And I don't mean just physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And I don't mean just about self-healing your health. I'm talking about self-healing, period. So for instance, as a doctor, I have a lot of patients that come to me as a last resort. And they say they've been through this person and that specialist and this test, but they feel that there is no hope for them. And my job is to actually allow them to understand and create an awareness that the body is designed to heal in the first place. Wow. And that if they can tap into the understanding of how our systems work, if we can go a little deeper than just focusing on their symptoms, but begin to address the causes of those symptoms, whether they're physically, emotionally, or spiritually. I'll give you a perfect example of that. So there's a lady that came to me, and this happened recently, with 20 years of fibromyalgia. This lady was distraught. She's been in pain, taking 13 pills a day just to make it through the day. It has cost her her health. She doesn't sleep very much. I mean, she's in misery. And I asked her the question. She had been to all kinds of specialists, and I said, listen, I'm a different type of person. I'm a different type of doctor. If you were your own doctor, because you know your body better than anyone can ever pretend to know your body, and you live in that body, and you've lived in that body for over 55 years, if you yourself are the doctor, and I was to ask you, what do you think the cause of this problem really is? Knowing everything you know. Immediately she turned to me and she says, it's a resentment that I have against my son-in-law. And I said to myself, this happens to me all the time. You know, Hans Selye was the father of stress. And he used to tell us in the 1950s and 60s in his writings that he believed that over 90% of the health issues that we have today has some kind of emotional attachment to it. You know, that it was the feelings in our lives that were making us sick. It was the way that he called it a distress in our life, the negative response towards stress in our life. Because he used to say stress is good. Stress gets us to get out of our comfort zone. Stress gets us to be creative. The stress is supposed to be a short-term response. But the problem is when you're stressed for a long period of time, your body breaks down because our bodies are not designed to be long-term. That's where chronic illnesses come into play. Because the causes of most chronic illnesses, which is over 80% of our costs in healthcare, are due to lifestyle choices. What we think, what we eat, how much we move. It's that simple. Those are the three lifestyle choices that cause 80% of our chronic illnesses. So this lady, when she mentioned to me an emotional issue, she could have said everything in the world, right? She could have said, you know, I'm working too hard. She should have said, you know, she could have said anything, but she went right into an emotion. So what I did with that lady is that I went through and showed her some simple techniques to begin to change that perception or that belief system towards her son-in-law. So she began to see her son-in-law, and I began to ask her, but I'm sure he had to do some great things in your life. Oh yeah, he's a great father, or he does this great, and great. You know, let's focus on that. And then I share with her that many studies now are showing that when we change the perception towards somebody else in our lives, the behavior of that somebody else automatically changes towards us. Because what most of us are doing, we're judging the people in our lives, and they're judging us right back. In most relationship issues, the problem that they're not working is because now we have this thing that we call conditional love. And love was meant to be unconditional. That means that from the moment your kids are born, right, you have this unconditional love that you just want to love that baby and you'll do anything for that baby. And as they start getting bigger, now you're judging what they're saying, what they're doing, who they're hanging around with. And as they get into college, what decisions are they making, what career path, how good are their study habits, are they spending too much time with friends and going out to clubs or whatever. And then as they get older, and then, you know, then you start judging him even more, you know, like, who are you going to marry? I don't like that person, you know, and it just, you know, are you going to go to church, or are you going to go to temple, or, you know, it just, you begin so conditioned. How can anyone give you their best when all you see is conditions? But when you love unconditionally, which is the root of all healing, now all of a sudden you find that people respond to you very different.